Is this a crypto meltdown or the opportunity of the year? How deep will the correction be? Hopefully super deep. Bill, that's terrible. What about my bags? Don't worry about your bags. Your bags will be fine in December. Now, if you watch this video until the end, you will be absolutely delighted about all the things that you're going to get to buy at all the great prices you're going to get to buy it at. And we will get the TA so you'll know when this will stop. And I can preview, or I can tell you about these amazing Patreon reports that just came out and about the big show we're going to be having with Toby tomorrow morning, right? Where we're going to do, as what she says, shopping. So we're going to cover all the news. Patreon Platinum has got what to buy, when to buy it, big coins, small coins, and what to sell, right? I'm making kind of a living in Patreon on like, here's the buy list and the sell list. I was doing a little bit of that with Toby as well, right? Toby was like, have a nice day on Arrow, believe it or not, just maybe as a tactical, like not now mode. I was like, and the model said the same thing, and I actually went with it. I was like, I'm crazy. I'm going to get yelled off my own channel. Turns out, this market turned around and went down. Wanted to sell Radium too, but I couldn't do it to Big Rich. But Radium went down as well. Now you're going to get a huge opportunity to A, dump the stuff that doesn't work. We'll talk some about that today. And B, buy the stuff that will. We will talk about that today. Now, let's begin, because this market's been hammered, with two unbelievably pieces of good news, right? First, Cathie Wood from ARK Investments sold Bitcoin. Not because of her Bitcoin ETF, as I understand it. She just sold Bitcoin. Now, Cathie essentially runs a giant mutual fund, okay? Giant investment company like BlackRock. And I think her new thing is trading. Right? Her thing in 2021 was buy all the tech stocks, buy all the vaporware, buy everything, and have that as her brand. And then tech stocks go way up, and then the Fed starts hiking rates, and they went all the way down. It was like an altcoin boom and bust thing. So she round-tripped, I don't know, all the vaporware and tech. That was unfortunate. Now she likes to trade. And she's done some pretty good stuff, right? She'll like, buy Coinbase, sell Coinbase, rotate to Bitcoin. This time, though, she sold spot Bitcoin. And it reminds me of when she got off the NVIDIA train like a year too early. She dumped her NVIDIA when NVIDIA had like a $2.5 trillion market cap, and it went to $4 trillion. Now, that's not the end of the world for like, say, you and me. We take some profits, whatever. But when you're in like a buy and hold organization and you get off the NVIDIA train too early, yeah. Now it feels like she's getting off the Bitcoin train too early just because Bitcoin might get spanked. I mean, I'm not going to lie. Bitcoin is vulnerable. But the fact that like the people who are bullish start selling. Remember how we talked about this? In a bull market, they bore you. They get you out. Right? The bulls sell, then they get negative, then they get short, and we're doing that whole process, right? Like bulls are like, in some ways, throwing in the towel and say, okay, this is not going to happen until later. Okay. It's like, hey, Bitcoin is now a 113. Everybody that bought in that 116, 123 zone is now underwater again. They did this in 2020. I've got the charts from one of my competitors. They took profits. They washed people out twice. And when they got done washing people out, it turned and went up. Now, the question is, with as bullish as people were, how deep is the washout? So frequently the Cathie Woods of the world, yeah, they do a good tactical trade, right? They dump it at 116 and it goes to, I don't know, I can't give you the price level because it's in the Patreon report, which I'll show you in a second. Listen, it winds up going down, and Toby tomorrow morning says, yeah, this is the point. This is the zone. most likely, that's it. And I'll be crazy. Even if they took Bitcoin below 100, can you imagine how many stops, how cleansed the market would be? And we've already talked about the Michael Saylor tweet on these earlier streams where, you know, he predicted volatility. And essentially what he predicted was that they were going to smash this market. And these market makers who had to buy untold billions were going to just smack it and smack it. And you can tell every time it rallies, like this morning, it fails. And it's going to try to rally again here. And my general advice is beware the failed rally. But you do have people who are bullish. Like Cathie Wood thinks Bitcoin is going to $1 million and she just sold spot for a trade or for whatever reason. It's bullish. Now, number 2 bullish item, bigger and quieter than you think. So the crypto czar at the White House realizes that they're not doing the sovereign wealth fund or the strategic reserve. So he's the czar of nothing. Gets a phone call from Tether, right? Like Tether's watching Circle IPO and all this stuff. And Tether, like, you know, went and moved to El Salvador and got itself completely out of the American landscape. You know, Tether makes as much money as BlackRock does with 50 employees, literally. You imagine what they must have paid this guy for this guy to walk out on the Orange Man? I mean, even though he didn't have a lot to do, but still, that payday must have been huge. Sort of akin to these guys wanting to pay these, you know, AI scientists all kinds of money. In this case, it shows you the pressing need to have government, crypto, and stable coins all together. Because what does that do? Right? Because it's Tether. Stable coins coming into the system is massively bullish. Everyone's like, oh, let's look at Bitcoin versus money supply. Okay. That's a cute graph on Twitter, and I've made fun of it before. You want to be looking at the stable coins that are coming into the market. And Tether obviously wants in an even bigger way. So the bulls are selling, and the people who supply the liquidity for crypto want in a big way. You know, recruiting star power to get their stable coins out there in this mix. How much money is on the line? Billions. In terms of the flows into crypto, it's hundreds of billions, right? It's about volume. I know a guy who's thinking about this, like, what kind of volume is coming to crypto in the next 6 months? When AI agents, you know, stock market players, bond market players, everybody in legacy, all these mutual funds and pension funds go from 1% crypto to 2% crypto to 7% crypto to 30% crypto. Everyone is selling, and they should feel free to continue. I mean, one guy, well, thank you for the engagement. One guy was actually making fun of me on the morning stream for being negative. I'm like, bro, I wasn't being negative. There are just some events out there that could spook crypto and start triggering stops, right? You're putting massive pressure on people who bought Bitcoin late. You're putting massive pressure on people in general, large and small, who bought Bitcoin above 116. You see Bitcoin above 110, you're going to see hedging pressure. Now, of course, if you want to know whether or not Bitcoin's going to go below 110 or where the low in Bitcoin is, that would be the Patreon Platinum report that I just released. And the awesome news is it's right here. When and what to buy, sell, or hold. So the when and the what. Them and Sixth Street Crypto even got their own videos along with their reports. So that's what are the buy points over the next 4 months for the big 3 coins, along with the August low prediction, and then by month. So what coins to buy and what coins to sell in August, what coins to buy and what coins to sell in September, etc. There was actually a shocking sell in October. I was like, oh no, I can't even say it. This thing has a tendency to go find my darlings and get after it. I'm like, oh, you nasty computer, you. It's good stuff. It's good stuff. You got to have it. Now, you may have heard that the Treasury has started to work on the, like with the Genius Act, right? And you've also heard the Treasury talk about using tariff money to pay down the deficit. Spending hundreds of billions of dollars a year, and the tens of billions of dollars they're taking in tariffs, most of which will probably get rolled back. Yeah, it's not happening. Now, they're afraid of something happening in the bond market. Bond markets are not happy. Of course, when that reaches CoinDesk, it's over. It's over. So to be honest, everyone's freaking out about something that is likely transitory in terms of a bond market freakout. And here's another idea for you to think about. What's a better investment right now? Or let's say it differently. Which asset class can melt up? Crypto or housing? Well, we know the answer is crypto. But what you don't know is housing could melt down. Everyone's like, oh, it's Jerome Powell's fault that the housing market's messed up. Well, interest rates are too high, but is it really Jerome Powell's fault? Or is it just simply prices are too high? Prices are too high. In other words, what does crypto and housing have in common? In crypto, prices are too low. It's too low. The movement in Ethereum just told you that. It did. And everyone's selling and everyone's freaking out. But at the end of the day, overall, crypto prices are too low. Massive volume is coming in, no matter how you cut it. AI agents, BlackRock, hedge funds, general public, ETFs, they're all coming. Housing, which everyone wants to blame on Jerome Powell, and that's fine, but housing has to crash. The price of a house has to crash because there's all sellers and no buyers. Now, sellers don't have to hit the bid yet. All right, because maybe there isn't an employment problem or whatever, or maybe they think they can rent it or whatever. So the chances that housing melts down, 70%. The chances that crypto melts up, 70%. And I don't know how anybody's ever going to buy a house if they don't have the wealth effect from crypto itself. So as an asset class, this is what I'm trying to explain. As an asset class, stocks have nowhere to go. Housing could crash. Bonds are a zombie market. It's this manipulated, propped up thing. So what asset class is there? Well, there's only crypto. Now, you're probably sitting there going, oh, okay, Bill, well, then why are my bags down? Why is Avalanche down 6%? Why are they just hitting this with reckless abandon? Well, because everybody knows it's the only asset class in the world. And as in any case, when it's going up, people feel hopeful and they want to participate. And they buy the high. And then large players take advantage of these imbalances. So it's just like fighting, right? Like if you throw a punch, right, you better throw a punch and keep this hand up. Because if you throw a punch and that other hand comes down, you're going to get hit over here. That's exactly what's happened to the crypto market, right? Crypto market's like, I'm bullish. I'm so bullish. I'm out here. Oh, wait. Oh, boom. They just got caught leaning the wrong way. That's it. Now, how long can that go on? I don't know. Metaplanet's on the bid. Gemini's going to IPO. Google increased its share of TeraWulf, the mining company. It's like, oh yeah, computing power, Bitcoin. Oh yeah, I'll take all of that. Thanks. All of it. You got more? Okay, good. I mean, this is like happening, like for real, absolutely for real. And again, you have nefarious forces trying to attack crypto, trying to FUD it, and the price is going down. So they're having fun, right? Like first it was the 51% attack on Monero. So I'm sure it's not news to you that no one wants you to have privacy. not the United Kingdom, not the Chinese, not Palantir, not anybody, right? Which is why Monero, antivirus forever. So they 51% attack Monero, and Monero makes it. And Monero's prices, I mean, my God, I think it was like $400. Now it's at like 2 something. I think it bounced back to 300, but I'm like, oh my God, look at this discount shopping in Monero, and it didn't work in Monero, and now they want to move over to Dogecoin. I'm like, wow, really? So we have like a crypto project, Cubic, that their job is to go 51% attack people, which is a very expensive undertaking, by the way. And now I'm seeing more FUD on Bitcoin that supposedly there are 2 mining pools that together can control 51%. And there can allegedly be one of these attacks in Bitcoin, which is absurd because that would be so expensive. I don't even think a sovereign could do it if they wanted to. But of course, it's just more crypto FUD. Right? Anything you hear from this point on is FUD to create hysteria. Like the big players are laughing. Now, what's not a laughing matter is a lot of people saying the same thing. Like I watch a guy because I like his titles and his thumbnails, and like we're all like surfers in YouTube, right? So he sees me most likely, leveraging some of his content, and then he watches my content and he borrows some of my ideas. So I'm hearing, don't sell your crypto to BlackRock. Don't let them push you out. This is the final dip before it explodes. I'm like, okay, well, so this guy's really smart, right? I'm not dissing people, but I'm like, as an analyst, you got to be careful of having too much company. Having too much company, right? So if everyone's like, well, don't sell your crypto to BlackRock, I'm like, oh no. Does that mean BlackRock's going to come in and lean on it like Cathie Wood and be like, or better yet, everyone in the Bitcoin and Ethereum ETF, like all those people, like they $2 billion FOMO'd in to the Ethereum ETF at the high. Yeah, now all those people may get puked out too. I'm just saying, right? Everyone's like, well, it's the final dip. It's the final dip. Oh, well, it's going to keep dipping, right? As soon as you hear that, that's the end. That's the end. Now, we have our call for the end. Toby's like, let's get on the air in the morning. She's shopping. The messages are coming in right now for the shopping list. Let them hit it. You know what? I know it's not good for your bags, but you almost want tonight's rally to fail. It's hard to see how it does, but we don't have to worry about that. There are things out there that can scare people. Bond markets. Oh my God. Every time I look at the charts of the stock market, I'm like, I'm going to need darker glasses. It's like, ugh. It's so gross, right? Like the smartest guys out there are like, yeah, let's just stop buying this tech stuff. Stop buying this AI stuff and buy something somewhere else in the crypto market. I'm sorry, in the stock market. There's a whole bunch of other stuff, right? These 20 stocks have been leading the market. Yeah, no. Let's go somewhere else. Part of the somewhere else will be crypto. Like BlackRock quietly has accumulated 3% of all Bitcoin. It took them, 2 years more to get that much. Michael Saylor, it took him 5 years to get that much. What is going to happen when these larger players start coming in? It's going to be enormous, which again is why this avalanche is so nasty. Because if I was a market maker, I'm just telling you right now, like it's one thing. It's like, okay, Michael Saylor is going to pay, he's going to pay what, 116, and then we whack it to 112 or 113, or maybe we get lucky. We get like 30% decline. Okay. But if I knew that I had untold billions, like Michael Saylor was coming in, the sovereigns were coming in, BlackRock was coming in, if everybody was coming in as a way to lower the value of the dollar, right? Because again, this is why the bond markets are upset, right? If there was ever really a problem with fiat and everyone had to come in, especially after watching what happened with Ethereum, where that just got away from everybody. Like that moved like it did because nobody was able to get long. Nobody. Everyone's like, wow, it went up a lot. Everyone must be long. Yeah, maybe at the retail level, maybe at the leverage trader level. But when you have something move the way ETH did, institutions didn't have time to get liquidity on the way up on that. No way. It just ran away from them. Okay. So what's the logical thing to do? You're sitting here and someone hands you a piece of paper that says, okay, yeah, billions upon billions. And you got everyone leaning the wrong way. And if it was me, I would just crush it. I would crush it. I would sell it until they forced me to buy it back. Until they forced me to buy it. That's why every time this thing goes up, it gets smashed. It's like it goes up and the leverage, the trading desks are like, okay, I'm selling more. Stop me out. It doesn't work. They don't stop them out and it goes down again. That is exactly what is going on here. I'll show you the chart. Now they're going to do this until it doesn't work anymore. And in a thin summer market, they can just keep doing it. So everyone's like, Bill, you're bearish. I'm like, well, not really. Not if you look at our Patreon targets, we're not bearish. Okay. But we can't acknowledge why it's going down. Because I know it's counterintuitive. Untold billions need to be purchased. Like, VanEck is saying, base case 180 this year. Let me ask you something. All these characters that are talking about, massively higher Bitcoin prices, like Toby has her massively higher Bitcoin price. Let me ask you something. How would that happen? Let's flip it. Like, why are there untold billions to buy? What would happen? Well, you could have a problem with stonks. You could have a problem with fiat. You could have a central bank credibility problem. Everybody thinks Bitcoin just levitates to 200. My bags just go up. The Lambo is on its way to be delivered to my house. That's not how it's going to work. It hasn't worked that way this whole cycle. There's been no cycle. That's why people are so annoyed. They're so depressed. That's why they're so quick to sell. How does Bitcoin get to 200K? You got to have something wrong somewhere and a realization, a positive realization that crypto is the best asset class and is the future. You got to have both of them going on at the same time. So stocks, absurd, bonds, a zombie market, housing must crash. That's the only way to create a new equilibrium in housing. So what free market is out there, really? There's only one answer. And that's, of course, that's crypto, which is why they're attacking it. They're attacking privacy. Now, okay, that said, there is some cringe we're purging from the market. Love my boys at Galaxy Digital. Love them. I'm looking at, look at this. I saw this 3 days ago and I'm like, we're done. This can't be. I thought this was a joke. Advantage Galaxy. Okay. Galaxy sponsors select players at the US Open in New York. Now, the US Open in New York is very prestigious. It's like a very big place to be seen. I've seen it sponsored by JP Morgan. Okay, so now the big public crypto investment bank wants visibility. Not the worst decision in the world. I get it. But dude, astronauts with tennis rackets? They did something else that was awful. Mike must be short. He must do this on purpose, right? This cringe needs to be purged. And when you purge the cringe, when everybody who's talking about like 175 starts talking about 95, and it's over. And I hate to say it, but that's just the way these things work. Now, coming back to a macro note, Jerome Powell is giving a speech in Jackson Hole, Wyoming. It's actually been a big place. It's a conference. It's where Ben Bernanke announced PermaQE in 2013. I almost fell out of my chair. Said we're doing $85 billion a month indefinitely forever. QE was an emergency measure that they took 5 years out into the future, and then they just kept it permanent. And he said it with a straight face. Now we're at the other end of the spectrum. Powell is forced to either give up or say, you know, inflation's at 3%. We're going to build everything in the whole world. Rates at 4 is not ridiculous. It's not. Rates are too high, and I don't know if the inflation numbers are right, but you know, you should be willing to tolerate more inflation when you have a massive infrastructure build out for AI, which again, the value of AI rises, the value of crypto rises. What a joke. What a joke that, you know, the world of Web 2 just continues to pour money indiscriminately to the point where people are talking about being a bubble, and it is or it isn't. I don't know. But how can you have a bubble in AI and everybody selling crypto at Bitcoin at 113 and altcoins just getting wrecked? God, you know what I'm saying? I mean, altcoins have been going down 5% a day for 4 days now. That's just when that disparity gets rectified, you're never going to remember this. Do you remember the last time Bitcoin went down 30%? I mean, I remember the last time Bitcoin went down 30% in August. It was in 2017. And the lower it went, you know, the higher it kept going and going and going. But when you go down, you know, by that much, I don't know if Bitcoin has 30%. I mean, if it did, probably it would look terrible. It would be the worst looking thing you ever saw. And you cannot have a big move without just despair. Now, I don't know if we're at despair. I don't even know if this market's capable of getting to despair, given the amount that has to actually be bought, right? Like, you know, there are whales out there that are like, ooh, give me $100 million in Ethereum. Like I said, they could not get the liquidity on the way up. So they're like, oh, I mean, almost you've heard the in the bear market, you've heard the concept of a relief rally, like down, 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 everyone upset. And then it rallies and everyone goes, oh, thank God it's not going to zero. So reverse, right? This market was going up so high, so hard, ETH pumping. People were like, oh, this is going to get away from me. Now it's like, okay, I can breathe. People actually like this. You don't, I know. I don't really either. But there are people out there that are like, okay, now we can breathe. Because when people, all these JEETs dump the Ethereum ETF, that's when it's over. You know, but, you know, you've still got some cringe out there. Like, for example, look at a headline right now. Bitcoin won't go below 100K this cycle. Ooh, like, don't say never, bro. Don't say never. Because it's still crypto, right? Everyone's like, well, ETH's never going to go up again. Okay, it went up $3,000 in 5 months. Crypto can't move again? We're dead? Really? You think so, huh? Don't underestimate crypto volatility. This is what I'm telling you. Now, when it comes to crypto volatility, as I said this morning, you need to ask yourself, do I have enough crypto? The answer to that is probably no. You may be out of money, but do I have enough crypto? The answer is no. Okay. And if the market did go down another 20%, could I get more crypto? Could I get it? Then that's when you use the sell list on the Patreon reports. Like, this is what we're doing. It's like, hey, where are we buying the Bitcoins? When are we buying the Bitcoins? And on the altcoin side, what are we buying and what are we selling? Because, you know, if you had dumped, I mean, the last model had Pepe, Doge, Arrow, and Radium. I was like, oh my God, I was like, I capitulated on Pepe and Doge. And it's funny because the Monero attackers, the professional 51% attackers now want to go after Doge. How interesting, right? You know, the coin that Elon Musk should be using, they want to go attack it. You have attacks on crypto as a business going on in plain sight and no one realizing why they're doing that. They can't slow it down anymore. There's no more Gensler. There's no more SEC. The United States is embracing it. So communist regimes have to, have venture capitalists funding projects to stop the market. Okay, well, you guys will stop the market for a week. You guys stop the market until the end of the month. Good luck. You're going to get smoked. You're going to get smoked. Crypto path. Let's go, Spartans. Dude, the Spartans of Patreon. Man, I got some love for you guys. I actually drove down, 6th Street Crypto this week. Actually came to you from 6th Street down there in the middle of the night. So I can get you, Market Update Nation. Toby will be hooking up the YouTube members tomorrow. I will be there with more GAN stuff. People, these ETH Treasury guys are laughing. They're like, oh my God, we're going to get long. SharpLink, Tom Lee's company, right? You see Ethereum print sub 4K. Let's just say worst case, 3,800. Oh my God. I mean, you're going to, I don't even know how it's going to get there. They would have to sell and then buy in order for that to happen, which that's not ridiculous. I got a boss who used to do that. Seriously. He would sell at support to try to break it. And if it didn't break, he would just come in and buy everything. They'd see all this selling coming from one direction and then all of a sudden buying from the same direction. It blew people's minds. And then the number 3 bullish thing ever is not only is Gemini going public, which gets Coinbase off their duff, because you have another American crypto exchange with a truckload of investment capital, but Ripple is also loaning them money. Because guess what the next IPO is, or the next takeover, whichever you want. More FOMO in equities than crypto. So Cathie Wood buys Circle. I don't know if she dumped the Circle or not. She should have. I think she did. But now they're dumping Bitcoin. Gemini's going public, which is going to force Coinbase to list everything on Base on Coinbase, possibly triggering a huge alt season. People don't think of it this way. And we're all bearish. We're all selling. We're all wound up. People. I mean, in some ways, when you push out the cringe and you just think about what's going on here, that the lower it goes, the reason it's going lower, other than the bond market, booga, 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 is they have like infinite amounts of supply to purchase. I mean, I'm sitting here going, Latin America's exchange flows for ETH 9x'd, or their exchange flows for crypto in general, 9x over 4 years. The whole world is moving. It was like, oh, we're going to de-dollarize, and we're going to use the Chinese yuan in the ruble. We absolutely are not, ever. Putin can have all the meetings he wants. He can take all the photo ops. They can have their own Twitter feed, whatever. No one is using that trash as the world's reserve currency. If they're going to use anything, they're going to use the dollar. And if the Treasury was smart, they would start pulling Bitcoin into the Treasury. In other words, it is a disappointment on one hand that they're not doing the strategic Bitcoin reserve, but there's also a signal that they're not doing the Bitcoin strategic reserve because they're afraid. They're afraid. Like, oh yeah, we'll do the Bitcoin ETF, and oh yeah, we'll do stable coins, and all these people who are getting disruptive, they go along to a point until one day they realize they're going to get disruptive. Hence the Monero nonsense. Hence, all the FUD. Everyone say, oh, sell, oh, don't do this. Okay. You guys are getting disrupted, and it's not going to stop. Like AI agents are eventually going to start talking, right? Like I can hate on ChatGPT-5, but I better get started on that, right? I better, start working with it, because guess what? It's happening. That's going to be it. We're going to be on ChatGPT-7 in a year. What kind of capabilities is that thing going to have? Now, personally, I think the recent correction is because ChatGPT-5 was terrible. I would have expected it in equities. But of course, I don't know. For whatever reason, crypto always takes the brunt of it. And again, I think it's because people have to buy. Just because the market is going down doesn't mean that there aren't people lurking below. Literally, lurking below just are like, hey, man, give me this. And you know what, dude? Everyone says don't sell your crypto to BlackRock. I say it. You know what, dude? If BlackRock wants your crypto, they could knock it down to some shockingly stupid price. Now, maybe today is the shocking stupid price. And I mean, we have the shocking stupid price in Patreon, but you know, like if there's a screen share, it might be this. You know, 2020 was like accumulate, distribute, trap, gone. You know, distribution between 116 and 123, drop it, boom. Right? But this is nasty, right? This, you know, when we drop it these days, it's very nasty because it's not 2020. 2020 was, the market was, you know, $14 trillion in 1 month. Global central banks printed $14 trillion in 1 month because of cough, cold, and flu. So, I mean, all that liquidity had to go somewhere. In this case, you have a more gradual process of all of the money from legacy coming over to crypto. But there still is a case of gradually, then suddenly, right? And of course, everyone's losing their patience. I did a short video on this is the worst Bitcoin bull market ever. No, dude, it's just not 2021. It's just not 2021, right? You short-term people buy Bitcoin, they get washed out. Everybody thinks XRP is going to fall apart. It can't go below $3. If it does go through $3, I got news for you. The whole planet is going to be down there waiting. We have our level. The entire planet's going to be down there waiting. Gemini is going to IPO, and Ripple has attached itself to that, and no one sees it. And they're selling it. They've been selling XRP above $3 like it's never going up again. Stupid. I mean, they did it with ETH. So, you know, and they didn't learn their lesson. So now they're going to do it with XRP. They're going to assume Solana's dead at 180. You know, Solana has been frustrating. They're going to assume Solana's dead. That's a big mistake, a very big mistake. Because the day you have Bitcoin, Solana, Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, and XRP moving all at the same time higher. Right now, they're all moving all at the same time lower. In research, you got to use your imagination. In research, you get paid for imagination. So while everyone is selling, while everyone hates it, while everyone's getting stopped out, everybody is, you know, everybody is like, you know, trying to say it's going to 180 when they don't even know how it gets there. You imagine a world where they're all washed out and then the bus leaves without them. Just like ETH, except it happens to the whole market across altcoins, because I continue to believe we've actually got to stop calling them altcoins. Because when these AI agents show up, my friend Jordy says this, I've said this, machines will not use fiat. Machines will not use legacy tech. Not really. They're going to use blockchain. They're going to use crypto. They're going to want to go fast. You know, they're going to want to spread control out over everything. That's why they're 51% attacking stuff, because they want to scare people off. It's as simple as that. And that's not going to work. When has it ever worked? Gensler didn't scare anybody off, right? Gensler made the life of people in crypto difficult. Gensler was after everybody. They debanked everybody. Now they're doing 51% attacks. Their tactics get more pathetic, although it's effective because, again, we wash out those that are hopeful. People rush in thinking it's 2021, and then they get stopped out. How long can they stop you out? I don't know. How much do they have to buy? Right? I mean, if you have to buy untold billions, you don't care about risking $10 million or $25 million to push it down if you really do have to buy untold billions. I mean, the government can't do the strategic Bitcoin reserve because the private sector needs the money. How does Bitcoin get into a 401k? How does Bitcoin get into Charles Schwab? I mean, yes, it was super cringe that they were all screaming for it at the high. But how is Schwab, how are these big mutual fund companies gonna get the crypto on their books. I mean, Schwab is a huge mutual fund company like Vanguard, like Fidelity. I mean, Schwab runs its own funds. It's huge. Morgan Stanley, Goldman, all of these players have what they call asset management businesses. How are they getting all this crypto? Where are they going to get it from? You already saw what happens when, you know, somebody comes in and wants to buy ETH and it goes up, you know, $2,000 in 5 weeks. Can you imagine what happens if they actually have to FOMO in? So if they're sitting on it or they're trying to break the charts, they're actually trying to do both. I don't blame them. I don't blame them because, you know, this thing where, you know, your job is to get people the crypto that they need. If you can't do it, you're gone. That's why they're hitting this thing so hard, right? Because I was like, well, okay, it's my job or losing some money on a short to make my customers happy. Guess what? Guess what, bro? You can come stop me out. I'm going to short this thing. I'm going to lean on it because I got to get crypto to my customers because if I can't do it, they'll go somewhere else. We've seen this before, but I think the stakes now are higher. They are actually way higher. So are they done pushing it down? Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we have our level. I have seen guys that have 95K for Bitcoin. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's not impossible, especially if you get some sort of negative legacy catalyst, which is why I'm saying to you, do you have enough crypto? And if crypto went down, how would you get more? Right? That's why in the Patreon report, we have what to buy, what to sell now, what to buy, what to sell September, right? And all the dates where we think you're going to get the dips to get involved here. Like we worked the eclipses, we had the model crank out the whole thing, big coins and small coins. We even had 2 micro cap picks in there, which are crazy. By the way, micro caps can and frequently do go to zero. This is not investment advice. It's an opinion show, just so you know. Okay, Crypto Crazy Knowledge Dump sends a $10 super chat and says, great show, great job, Bill. Sir, we appreciate your business. We appreciate your business. We appreciate your viewership. I know it's very typical on social media. Like, I have to figure out how to be more controversial outside McAfee, although I did find a song where some guy wrote McAfee for president in 2020. I wish I could play it on the air. It's a really good song. You know, everything that guy ever said about 3-letter agencies, about who really holds power with Uncle Sugar. Every single thing that guy said is completely true. And I mean, like small, I don't know, small live streamers are starting to get big, saying a lot, showing that a lot of the things that guy said were true. And they're attacking his baby, Monero, just like the way they were attacking him. And everybody's like, it's like, oh yeah, a flock of them flew over that time. No one's paying attention. They want you out of this. They don't want people in this. They're afraid. They should be, right? They're going to disrupt how business gets done, the labor markets, and crypto is going to disrupt the entire monetary regime of every single country, including ours. Besson is afraid. He's afraid. Like the orange man got all his hype going, and now it's not going to stop. I mean, why do you think the orange man himself is buying it? Like he knows his own government is going to get disrupted. Therefore, he's got to get long. You know, Howard Lutnick bought Bitcoin for Cantor Fitzgerald. The crypto czar is like, you know, Donnie, love you, but I got to go get paid because Tether just offered me literally probably $1 billion to be an advisor. In other words, get Tether in the game massively. Probably back to the United States and public like Circle. Can you imagine if Circle can go public, what Tether as a publicly traded entity would look like? You know, they just ran away and went to El Salvador, assuming it was Gensler forever. Bad trade, guys. Like everyone left Dubai and everyone left this country and went to Dubai. You have to get out of America. I remember this. You have to get out of America. America's never doing crypto. Well, okay, bro. Now, America, if it's smart, will try to take advantage of the fact that crypto is going to disrupt everything by having as much of the disruptive force over here rather than being disrupted by some company in another country, which is why I continue to go back to Ripple. Everybody thinks XRP and Ripple doesn't matter. It does. It's an American company that could disrupt banking and monetary systems. And no one sees it that way. I don't understand why they see Bitcoin that way. They just started seeing Ethereum that way. And then that hasn't translated. It hasn't moved to XRP. It hasn't moved to Solana. I don't know why everybody thinks Solana was just a meme coin, casino coin. That's ridiculous. That's not what Solana was supposed to be. Not at all. It was supposed to be like an Ethereum competitor. Now, because memes aren't moving, but again, the scan model wanted to dump memes. I'm like, oh my God, dude, you want to dump my darling memes? Now I know why. Because the machine, now I'm starting to read my own machine, right? The machine saw this kind of a blowout. Saw the blowout. And that's what it is. And I mean, you know, it may not just be crypto. I mean, look at this cringe. Oh my God. This is S&P, right? This is S&P at the premium zone at the top of this like giga wedge. Now, if you want to know what this formation actually means, I don't know if you've ever tried to run on a treadmill or even walk on a treadmill on an incline. It's actually hard AF, especially if as you continue to walk, they continue to move the incline up. I had a trainer back in the day who used to like that, right? As soon as you would start to get tired, the incline would actually go up. Okay, so the longer you run, and the bigger the incline, eventually the lactic acid kicks in, your muscles fail, you want to puke, and you just fall off the treadmill. This is what this formation means in S&P, right? They just keep pedaling and pedaling and running and running and running and running. And even though there are stocks out there that are probably good, this is absurd. Like, it doesn't take a lot to knock this down. I mean, the price of lumber has crashed. I believe copper has also crashed. Right? Let's actually bring that up. I did a short video on it. No one liked it. It's okay. I get it. Okay. If you go to futures, you want to ask yourself, hey, how's the economy doing? I haven't tried to pull this up. Yeah. How's it going? Boom. Lumber, housing. You know, I know it's going to sound insane, but Powell may have done his job. He may have crushed inflation and crushed housing. Because when you see this kind of price action, I mean, if this was an altcoin, would you buy it? I don't think so. Right? They just absolutely destroyed it. How's things going in the economy, boys? How's it going? Yeah, it's not. And if you have housing get nuked, you're going to have banks are going to have problems too, dude. I mean, I don't even know if this is right. This is like copper. You know, like maybe we got to look at a weekly. You know, this is a weekly chart and they just wiped out like, I don't know, 12 weeks all at once. All these speculative metals that have to do with the economy. Dude, something's wrong out there. Something is happening out there, and it's not that great. And crypto can freak out on these things. But at the end of the day, people are coming over here with, as my guy says, a volume, right? The amount of size that needs to be bought is huge. And the more problems you see in legacy, the longer it takes for it to develop, the bigger it's going to be in crypto. Which is why they're just smashing it. Because I would do the exact same thing. I would get the chart and break it. Like, here's an example. Unfortunately, this used to happen to me when I was at Goldman, right? I would make a chart and I'd be like, okay, here's a great support line. Yeah, right here. Yeah, it's good. It's a big upward sloping channel. Everything's fine. And then the guys would just come in and they'd just be like, oh, is that, I had another boss before I was a chart guy. Was a junior trader. This guy used to wear red shirts and white ties. It was from Bensonhurst, Brooklyn. You can Google that. It's an Italian guy. Red shirts and white ties. I don't think I haven't seen that since. Okay, so he was, hey, Bill, where's the support point? Where should it hold? I used to go right here. He goes, okay, watch this. Whew, just smash it. This is exactly what they're doing here. They're just smashing it. I'm smashing it on purpose. There's no question about it. Now they're headed into like at least some support at 112. But like, just as a point of information, right? People can give me a hard time and say, "I'd be negative." I just ask you a question. I mean, the premium zone was 125, and it's never paid to buy the premium zone. And this is why I talked a little bit about, never buying the premium zone. Like if something could get spanked, it could be Bitcoin, because that's what everyone's long. I mean, do you realize that the equilibrium zone in Bitcoin, don't write in, don't throw rocks, but you realize that the balance zone in Bitcoin is at 100. You realize that, right? That's just balance. Just straight TA. Just, balance. Huckleberry Native. Shiba Dog shaking his hips saying, thank you. Thank you too, sir. I appreciate that. Right? Ironically, Sheeb was another coin that the model wanted to get out of. I'm like, dude, why are you picking on Sheeb? Now I know, dude. Now I know. Can you imagine what happens if Bitcoin goes to 100? So this is why we have to just take a deep breath and say, what happens if they wreck stonks and Bitcoin at the same time? Or what happens if they just do it overnight and it's over? That's all I'm saying. Do you have enough crypto? Look at this. This is still in effect. Remember how I would say, oh yeah, the cup on the cup and handle is a nightmare. Is this enough of a nightmare for you? Down 8 days in a row, up 8 days in a row, down, straight down, right? Straight down, straight up, straight down. It's just like, I wouldn't be surprised if this just drove people out of the market totally. Just be like, I'm done. I can't stand it. It's in a confined space though. It's in a confined space. I don't know what I don't think Bitcoin goes to 100. Again, we've got our level. We got our stuff in Patreon with the dates. So, I mean, I got to let them do their thing. But you have to realize that this market is going down because people have to buy it. Because, this in copper, I think it happened in platinum as well. If you want to like geek out, I don't think it happened in silver, but it did happen in some of these industrial metals. Just got absolutely monkey hammered. Monkey hammered. Why? Like normally lumber and copper going down is good for bonds. Nothing is happening that's good for bonds. Bonds are supposed to be going up and they're not. Bond interest rates should be going down, but they're not. What's going on? Is there a problem here? I don't know. Crypto always goes down before the actual problem shows up. So either we're done, the bond thing made its way to CoinDesk and, we're not doing it anymore. We're not doing any more problems. Right? ETH. So it's pretty simple, right? LuxAlgo, get to the premium zone. Support is at 3865. The old high in ETH from December was 4,065 and ETH's now below that. So first ETH was going to 0, then it was going to 10,000. Now it's going to, if it goes below 4,000, people are going to get hysterical. Watch. Oh, ETH below 4,000. ETH gives up 4,000. More declines coming. I mean, I read the news all day. So I can already feel what they're going to say if you get ETH below 4,000 overnight. I'm just saying, right? You got to look and laugh. Maybe that should have been the title of the stream. Look and laugh. Oh, we're 51% attacking you. ETH gives up 4,000. Oh my God. Oh. I thought it was out of my mind in Arrow. Now, jokes aside, Really, what I just should have been doing was say, you know what, this is going to do a 38% retracement. And the move was so big, a 38% retracement is still at $1.20. And if they really blow it out, the 62% retracement is at $1. Now, that would really, that would just be like, ugh, if that happened. But if they blow it out, I mean, Arrow has an example of that treadmill formation, right? It ran up the hill, and then when it finally broke, it cracked. It's not absurd. It's not absurd, but I think, you should be looking for a low. Because now, with most of the cringe purged out and Cathie Wood selling, see, that at the end of the day, that's bringing this whole conversation full circle. When you have someone who thinks it's going to $1 million selling anything, like she should be never, if you think it's going to $1 million, you should never sell, ever. It's like Michael Saylor, never sell your Bitcoin. So how can you be going to $1 million and then selling unless you're just trying to make noise for PR purposes? Okay, so on DeMark, you have a lot of support near 112, and this should probably be over in 8 hours based on this, right? Just keeping it simple. Okay, ETH, sort of the same thing, right? They just washed everybody out who bought late, and they do this for, another 24 hours, and then we see whether or not we get a failed rally. My sense is, they're going to do whatever they need to do to crack the market, and if they can't crack it, they'll come back in. Like I said, as I'm sitting here, the shopping list from Toby is coming in. So if you want something bullish other than Cathie Wood selling, Cathie Wood sells. The guy from Tether, this crypto czar, gets hired by Tether. And my screen is just Toby sending new coins for the big show tomorrow, most likely at 9 a.m. Eastern. Right. Haven Peck says, I'm buying anything Eric Trump is a part of for a month or two. Dude, they are getting long, and they know. God, look at Monero. They just keep hitting this thing. They just attack. Why? Why does no one like Monero? The same reason nobody, they ran McAfee down and erased him from the planet, because we can't have people talking like that, right? I don't have to talk. I mean, I would love to. I don't have to talk like that. I'd have 1 million followers. I just let the market do the talking. The market is going to do the talking on this one, right? They can sell it. They can crush it. I mean, who knows? Monero, I don't know. I personally think Monero is done going lower, personally. I mean, if you look at the weekly chart, because, normally you don't chart these things, but this matters now. This thing, in theory, you could have 5 more down weeks. In theory. But that would be golden, because all they're doing here is washing out everybody who FOMO'd in, and I don't blame them for FOMOing in, man. You got this guy who's going to get elected in New York City. God, I know there is a conservative. If his first name's Scott, whew, he is going off. There's no candidate. His candidate, the guy who was in the Guardian Angels, he doesn't understand why no one's endorsing him, why nobody is supporting him. There's a couple guys in the middle who don't deserve support either, especially the guy who's currently in there. He is losing his mind about this mayoral candidate from the extreme far left. Let's just put it that way, right? Who is, he's gonna, just keep it very neutral. He's going to make 20% of that population in New York, if he gets elected, very upset. just by his mere existence. And they're selling Monero. Like, you could have full-fledged North Korean economics in New York City, and we're selling crypto? Really? Are you crazy? And this guy's losing his mind on the tape. He's having rallies. He's going to the shore. He's spending his own money for billboards and little trucks driving around with his paintings on them. No one is listening, man. You know, it's the anti-you agenda. The lower, you should look at Monero. Even if you don't understand Monero, you don't want to buy it, you should just watch it. You know, I mean, they smacked antivirus back down at the bottom of the range. Good. Because we're going to be right about that. We're going to be right about privacy. We're going to need to talk on SIM cards. This thing that I brought up about the firemen in England, a fireman, the guys who run into the burning buildings while everyone's running out, criticizes leadership in a closed group chat and goes to jail. Goes to jail. Not disciplined in the fire community. The cops picked him up for saying something he shouldn't say. I mean, this was even, you know, this was even said under the context of Americans have to be very protective of UK citizens here in case they try to come over here and pick up their own people, because people want to come over here and use social media. Well, bro, I got news for you. From the UK, you shouldn't be saying anything on social media other than your vacation pictures unless you have an antivirus private SIM card, which you can stick into a phone and just be on the internet and they can't see you. And you're like, oh, that's for pirates. That's for bad people. No, it's for people who want to say anything on social media. VP says, what now, boss? Okay, that's a good question. Let's talk about it. Let's go to screen share. And let's figure out what now in Bitcoin. So let's just pretend we're waking up. We're like, okay, what are we going to do today? Okay, so 13 top, 9 top. We discussed this, right? There was a lot of ugly DeMark work at the top of this thing. I was like, yeah, wait a bit, wait a minute. Just give it a day. Okay, so I gave it a day, and then it turned into more than one day. That's always the way it is. I don't know, man. On the daily chart, you could have 2 more days. Maybe 2 more days till like a correction is fully done. You're on support. Is clear support here at 112. Just, you know, you had this big emotional move up and you're just unwinding it. So it was emotional and went way up. It's emotional on the way down. And then people are going to get rational. And people are asking me, what now? Like, just get rational. Just get rational. You know why it's going lower. You know how much they have to buy. You know, you got to understand the institutional dynamics, you know, the dynamics of who needs to buy and sell. Ironically, before the age of charts, they used to call that the technicals, meaning who has to buy and who has to sell and how much do they have to do it, which is why you would have sales forces who would let you know, yeah, we have customer A, customer B, and customer C, who if this market goes down, they're going to buy everything. This is what the benefit of these things is. You know, Galaxy Digital sponsors tennis tournament. You know, yes, there's some huge cringe in that. Do you think did you think that they would be visible at the US Open if they thought it was going to 0? Do you think they'd be visible at the US Open if they thought it was going to 95K in their face? Think about it. You know, yes, Mike is known for some cringe, but these people are not stupid. Stefan Williams says, so you think we go to 4,050? I thought ETH was there today, right? The top of the support zone in ETH is 3960. You know, and I think when it comes to ETH, if you really want to get into the weeds of any of this stuff, right? Like, okay, so Bitcoin, 2 more days from now, there'll be a bottom signal. With this particular signal, you have to be careful of the failed rally. You'll take anything other than a failed rally. Like euphoric rush up, the bottom is in, and then boom. If you saw that, this thing's going to have major problems. I don't think that's going to be the case. And even if it does, it'll just be the last flush. Because people will get upset. People are upset now. I know they're upset. Like I was like, hey, you got to be realistic about what can happen here this morning. And guys are coming in on Twitter cursing me off. They're not cursing me off. I mean, you want to grab this. Like, if you look at ETH, there's an argument that 4,100 was it, because it went down there and they really couldn't move away from it. It was actually a big point, right? It's where this whole thing took off from. That said, if you just use common sense, man. Just think you're the guy out there that has to buy untold billions. And what are you looking at right now in ETH? Okay, you're looking at everybody who bought the tight range and FOMO'd in is now underwater, right? Look at the blue line. This is where the best of the best of the best, if you bought the absolute low before it took off, you're now underwater. And you see what it's trying to do now? It's trying to get back to the blue line. This is not the best software for lines, but, if this thing cannot get back above 4160, they're going to hit it again. Not because there's something wrong with it, just because they need to buy it lower and they need to buy massive size. See, that's the part that's missed, right? We're all desensitized. Michael Saylor issues paper, buys 2 billion. BlackRock buys 2 billion. Metaplanet. We're completely decentralized to size. We are. I mean, the only time I think the market actually woke up on size was when Mike Novogratz's firm, Galaxy Digital, had to quietly distribute 9 billion quietly. By the way, the people who bought the 9 billion in Bitcoin, unless it's Michael Saylor, they're underwater now. Right? You had serious distribution out there, and this is not atypical. This is not abnormal. Now, what is abnormal is what happened in lumber and copper. That is abnormal. Right? That's a sign that there's something out there and it ain't no man from the Predator movies. Do you know what I'm saying? That's a sign that there's a major problem. Major. Good. There's a major problem. Good. The market's down. Good. Everyone's getting stopped out. Good. I'm upset. Good. How were you feeling at 123 Bitcoin? Oh, you were feeling awesome. Incredible, right? It's going up forever. Bad. I mean, can you imagine? I mean, just seriously, I'm not saying it is. Can you imagine if this thing went to 95K? Can you imagine? People would be hysterical. People would be calling for an end to the bull market. But again, tell me there's not something wrong here. And this is, again, this will be eventually in the media. Jerome Powell may be able to walk away because in his mind, according to basic Fed theory, he may have done his job. Here's the platinum chart, right? Here's platinum running up the hill, running up the hill. A huge parabolic, running up the hill, running up the hill, running up the hill. Boom. This platinum is both precious and industrial metals. Very powerful rally they had here. Yeah, they're running into resistance. This could get hammered. This could get hammered. Like lumber, like copper, like everything else. Jerome Powell may say, okay, mission accomplished, bro. Metals are down. Housing's going to crash. I just smashed inflation. Inflation's at 0. I know we got to go build a bunch of stuff, but I did everything I could. I can go home now. I mean, I know there's a lot of hate. I get it. But he may be able to say, okay, I did my job. Right? You complain, you want to buy a house? Seriously, think about this. You want to buy a house? Okay. I'll just crash housing. If there's a housing crash next year, he's done his job. Now, of course, the orange man doesn't want that. I was like, oh, housing is not affordable. Okay, bro, well, just make it affordable. How do you make it affordable? I have a crash. Right? I mean, FTX sent Bitcoin down to what? 16K? Everyone thought it was going to 10. No, they handed it to you. Zcash, which I like, it has a privacy function to it. It's not Monero, but I still like it. I still like it. But we'll see what it's doing. kind of doesn't trade everywhere. So this is for our members. By the way, just so everyone knows, members get priority on requests. You know, I look, and members also, like the guys who get the $49 plan, they get Toby. That big show is tomorrow. Toby doesn't even want to do shows when it's up. She only wants to do shows when it's down. And when the messages start coming in, I know to not get too bearish because it's shopping time. Members of a certain gender love shopping. Keep it, you know, keep it clean. Zcash. Oh, look at Zcash at the bottom of its triangle. You know, they attack Monero. You know, the thing about Zcash and Dash is you actually hit the button to make it private. Like you and the person getting it have to hit a button to make the transaction private. But since there's only one Monero, I'll take anything with privacy functionality. And people are going to take anything and everything with privacy functionality if you have this change of regime in New York City. Better Shot Inc. loves Toby. Okay, we appreciate that very much. Member question. So we go to 4,050 on ETH. You know what? Let me provide a second answer to that question that is interesting but hard to implement. You want to know when ETH stops? When they've run all the stops, when there's no more stops to get. That's when it stops. Now, I don't know where that is. You don't know where that is. We can look at the charts, but the charts, the stops are probably on the charts. And I just think, like, in the next 3 days, the only thing you really have to worry about is a failed rally, because that's how these declines start, right? This morning, this looked fine, right? But I was like, okay, well, you know, just be careful if it fails. That's just it. You get rallies, people are not willing to pay higher prices, and then Mr. Nasty Market Maker, whose job is on the line, will smash it. And the way he'll smash it is with altcoin perpetuals, right? Why are my altcoins all down 5%? Because they're just leaning on all that stuff. Like, they're not just trying to get your Bitcoin. They're trying to force you to create selling pressure in alts, making the market look worse. And it's like a self-perpetuating rally. Bob M says somebody should have bought API3 yesterday. Let's check it out. Yeah, man, it's a good example, right? When people wake up to these, I mean, this has been out for a while. Let me just get the screen share up. The bigger the base, the higher into space. Now, I'll pull up the CoinGecko on this because I want to see what sector this is in. Because when we did the Patreon report, we actually did it by sector. We said, give me 3 coins to buy in this sector, 3 coins to sell in this sector. And then I had it rank it by when you would sell or buy that particular coin. Okay. Eagle King, of course, the greatest producer in the history of YouTube, gives you the API3 website. Oh, look, it's a data oracle. Huh. Right? UMA, DIA, API3. Cloud computing, DPIN, none of this has been touched in crypto. None of it. Matter of fact, most of it's been pushed out of, you know, it's the Dairy Queen analogy. It's a styrofoam cup been thrown out of a car. And then all of a sudden someone wakes up and goes, oh yeah, I want some of that. And then there's no seller. It's just boom, because it's volume, right? Jordy, volume, 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 volume. Crypto Plumber says it's ETH DeFi, an oracle for ETH DeFi. Yeah. Do you have any idea how big ETH DeFi is going to be? Like, oh, ETH can run the whole financial system. I said that all the way down. So did Toby. You can run the entire financial system on ETH and all of its layer 2s. Everything, all of it. Stocks, bonds, everything. Everyone's like, and no one cares. No one cared until API3 rallied. Okay? All right. I didn't get to SYLO yesterday, so let's get to it today. SYLO, 3 million market cap. Wow. Smoking. What does it do? This is the new game, by the way. Like, you see some coins smoke higher. Metaverse, gaming. Well, me and Toby have a joke on the stream that if we don't know what it is, it must be good. If we can't, if the old people can't figure it out, unlocking data for the open metaverse. Huh. You mean the metaverse? You mean the giant dystopia that everyone builds when Skynet comes online? When was the last time you heard anything about the metaverse in crypto? Not one word. Not one word. I saw Gala Gaming, I believe, was on the buy list for the Patreon report. Not one word. I mean, it's like, oh, let's buy copper. Oh, let's buy lumber. Let's buy platinum. Let's buy Microsoft. I was like, are you kidding? The Schiller with the super chat, sir. I appreciate that very much. Thank you. Right? Thank you to everyone who watches the show. Bill, what are you thinking about Neural? Okay. Actually, we like it. We like Neural and we like Numeraire. I gotta get the contract address on Neural, NE. Yeah, man, we've seen this before. I'm pulling it up now. I'm just gonna say, it's like, okay, I don't know anything about this particular coin's fundamentals. I don't. This has a 31 million market cap. So they're paying $100 million for scientists. Let me just get make sure it's the right thing from Eagle King. Okay. So they're paying $100 million for scientists, right? This project has a 31 million market cap. So what can you do with this project? Build living 3D worlds with AI. Most likely that your little worlds and your little creatures are verified on the blockchain, which, believe it or not, was the way I understood virtuals back in the day. When virtuals first came out, like we had all these, like I jumped in, we had all these super smart guys following this thing. I didn't think it was going to be a 23,000x. I don't know how you're going to build anything, human or machine, that's not verified on the blockchain. A machines are already doing it. I know we've looked at a project somewhere in the YouTube member podcast where it's like machine verified. This came from this machine. This piece of art was done by this machine. Otherwise, how do you know? How do you know? I mean, Twitter has already become this laughable joke where somebody makes a tweet and then the first comment is at Grok, is this true? And then Grok has to go to legacy media to check it. So what is the point? Just go to the, it's become a joke because you can't verify anything. Can't verify anything. You're going to need to verify it on the blockchain, which means you might as well create on the blockchain. Okay. Ding Dong said copper whipsawed because of Trump tariff on and off. Okay. Good point. But it's not like they swooped in and immediately bought the dip and nobody can explain to me why lumber is getting hammered. Right? Like something's going to go down over there. And even if it doesn't, here's another idea. All of that stuff just turns into a zombie market. This is what happened in Japan. Stocks, meh. Yeah, Japanese stocks for years did nothing. Years. Bonds, meh. Zero rates. Zombie markets. Like, where are you going to express your view about the future? Well, in crypto, which is why they're 51% attacking it, which is why they're trying to push you out of your positions, which is why they have untold billions to buy. Nobody knows why this crypto market is down. Nobody knows. Nobody knows. There's no like, you know, stonks are not really down. Nobody knows. And when nobody knows, there's only one answer. They're smashing it. And they're trying to make you sit around and go, oh my God, why is the market down? Why is it down? I don't know why the market's down. Oh, I'm upset. I'm going to sell. Oldest trick in the book. Okay. I have no idea how long I've been talking, but I suspect it's a long time. So that is the market update for today. Don't forget to get to the Patreon store, because if you don't have this particular report, right, in the platinum area and the 6th Street crypto crowd, they have their version with timing, I believe, on XRP and where the low will be, the date of the low and the dates you want to buy the dip all the way out until the end of the year. So you don't have to worry about this kind of stuff. You don't have to sweat it. Like, oh, where's it going to stop? Well, we got you again, model answer. Go get it. And, of course, the big show on the small cap shopping list tomorrow, because, again, we're looking at Neural. We're looking at all these coins. API3 goes. What's the next coin to go? Guess what, people? They're all going to go. Find out which ones Toby likes, because I'll do a book report, and then Toby will tell me what she likes about my book report, and that's what makes the show so special, if I don't say so myself. That is the market update for today. We will see you tomorrow.